What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So we might finally have a bit of hope that rank next season is going to be a ton better. I'm not even going to bother with my normal intro stuff, okay? If you enjoy this, throw it a like, leave your thoughts in the comments, but I just want to get going and talk about it. So Ghostcrawler, one of the lead designers now at Riot, said on his Ask FM that they weren't happy with how season 6 went and they have changes coming, but rest assured next season will have a pretty different model altogether. So finally, they said something, but not much of a surprise really. Everybody and their grandmother knows Riot cocked up this season big time. Ranked right now actually isn't that bad, but at the start it was a complete mess, let's be honest. Now the actual thing though is people have started to get these surveys asking them about rank next season. This part is going to be a rumor. It could change, like it's not 100%, but Riot only send these out when they've talked about it properly internally and they are thinking of doing it. They kind of just want to gauge response, right? Like what I'm saying is basically it's very likely that ranked in season 7 will look something like this. Chromas are a really good example. They did multiple surveys about them being bought with IP and separated, and now it's actually happening. They've even said they're looking at doing 10 bans now in season 7 instead of the 6 we have right now. I'm not really sure about that one, but we're going to focus on the ladder stuff right now. So anyway, I'm going to try to break this down as easily as I can, but basically there might be two different separate ladders now in season 7. One for solo and duo queue and another one for dynamic queue. It would be like at the start of the season you'd opt into one or the other, so you'd queue up and you'd do your solo ladder placement solo or as a duo, kind of like in season 5. Or you'd queue up as solo 2, 3, 4, 5-man pre-made in the dynamic queue like season 6. The dynamic ladder would basically let you play as you are now. You can solo if you want to, but you have the choice of doing bigger pre-mades. The solo one is just solo or duo queue though. So these would look like solo ladders, but only below diamond and have different names as well, though I'm sure these could actually change. But what they are for now, like in this survey, solo is going to be bronze, silver, gold, plat still, so the same as always, but the dynamic one is going to be copper, iron, steel, and titanium. These could obviously change, but copper in my opinion is really not a good one to use. Like saying someone is copper 5 for bronze 5 is really insulting, I think. Anyway, these queues would have different rank rewards though as well, so even if you're like iron or silver, which is basically the same, the borders and stuff would look different. So two separate ladders sounds really cool, but you would be in the same game still. It sounds very weird, but it kind of makes sense. So you queue up as kind of normal in your solo or your dynamic ladder queue, but as a dynamic player you could be put with a solo player, for example. Even though it's a different ladder, so you'd be playing like in the dynamic one and the solo one, like you could still be in the same game. It's the same queue basically. So that stuff is kind of cool, but I think it actually gets better as well. So with this we would have different ladders which should cater to both dynamic and solo players, but you can also swap between the two at no cost. So for example, if you start out playing with your friends in the dynamic ladder and then they all quit over the season, you can swap to the solo ladder and just play there instead if you wanted to. The thing is with that though, you would have to do your placements again apparently and see how that goes and then be put into a rank roughly the same, though apparently going from like dynamic to solo will end up a bit lower. So the example they use is someone in titanium 1, which would be the equivalent of plat basically, and you'd be placed roughly in a plat 5 though if they swap to the solo ladder, because I assume they think dynamic is a bit easier than playing solo. Now when you get to diamond though, this whole thing actually changes and you merge again into one kind of ladder. Diamond plus would be solo and duo only. You wouldn't be able to play dynamic above that anymore at all, and even if you came up through the dynamic ladder, you reach diamond and you swap to solo and duo only. If you get to masters as well, if there are any masters players actually watching this, it's going to turn into solo only, no duo, no dynamic at all, just solo. So basically in a nutshell, this is what it could look like in season 7. So you have the solo ladder and then you have your dynamic ladder. You'd have different names for the ranks up to diamond, and then at diamond it comes together and it's going to become just solo and duo. A master and challenger above that is going to be solo queue only. You can only play by yourself. Now to me, I think this is much better way of doing things. You have the clear like distinction for players who want to play solo and those who want to play with their friends, but you can swap at any time, so like you're not going to be stuck in either. Diamond above being like how it was in season 5 is a godsend for high elo players. Like it's so much better, I think, though we're still going to have that issue of like autofill and queue times, I guess. To be honest though, right now ranked is not that bad. Like it's probably not ideal if you play solo, but it's still decent. Like they fixed a lot of the problems they had early season. This would just take what we have now, I guess, one step further. Really, like instead of these kind of badge of shames like we have for dynamic or solo players, we have proper leagues to show you competing against players who are doing the same thing as you and playing the game the same way as you. There's no more like, well, I'm gold 1 but I got here solo so I'm better than you, and someone else being like, I'm gold 1 but I play with my friends to get here. If that kind of conversation did happen, you'd be gold 1 and you'd be still 1. Like a clear difference between the two, right? If you're in the same ladder as a friend as well, there's just way more competition, I think, and it's clearer who can do better in that ladder because you're being judged in the same way, like either as a solo play or how well you play with your pre-mates. The reason rank doesn't mean as much this season, I think now, is because it's the same ladder. Like, to me, this is the best way of dynamic queue actually existing within League. Now, these of course are just rumors, but several Rioters have said in the past this was an idea, and it seems like they are definitely exploring that option right now, and it would make sense. If I didn't think this was possible to happen or whatever, I really would not have bothered to make a video about it and give my thoughts either, but this, I think, could actually be the best way of having both together. Anyway, I am super excited for this to possibly happen. I really think this will be good for the game, but I want to know what you guys think more than anything else, whether you think I'm right, whether you think it's a good or bad thing, or maybe whether this stuff could actually happen or not. Let me know in the comments, like and share this video if you did, but for now, let's go to the robots.